Oh my god, Flash is incredible at StarCraft 2. He knows how to utilize initial. We're gonna try this again. Oh my god, Flash is so good. He knows how to use a ball. Part 1, we talked about the notion of the ball. That players will naturally trade this back and forth as one person is better at aggressing than the other player. And it's very important that during those periods when you have the initiative, you make proper use of that. We see in a very literal way Flash taking the opportunity of his initiative to get a 4th base up. Taking the opportunity of his initiative to set a contain up. And before the break, I mentioned that most players just continue to add on boatloads of factories to flood more tanks and more these dudes, Hellbats. Get as many of them as they can to just kind of just hold the initiative for the rest of the game. And what I love that we're seeing out of Flash is that when you have the initiative, a general rule is that this is a perfect time to make a very thin, powerful transition. Thin meaning thinly defended. Powerful meaning powerful. Okay? In the midst of having this initiative, Flash is going for quite a swift transition to battle cruisers. And he's not doing it in the way that we would normally see. The way that we normally see is players bang out 7 factories, churning units forward, get a 5th base, and then they go, I'm maxed! And then they build like 4 to 6 starports at the 25-minute mark. And they're like, run out battle cruiser! There's no elegance to it. It's like a rich person who's trying to impress someone. Someone's like, oh, I love horses. And he's like, alright, well, I'm gonna call an equestrian, I'm gonna buy 50 horses because I like them so much too. I like elegance. I like these very efficient, thin transitions. There's no wasted time, there's no wasted buildings. Flash sieging himself up. Scouting around the map with Vikings being in all sorts of places. Vikings down here, Vikings war up in the top corner, some army up here, some army in the middle, some army over here. Flash in a lot of places at once as he begins to get factories. I think he even builds another starport right here eventually. Building sensor towers. So the expectation from Flash's vantage point has already been declared. I have this contain now. I've made this strong play now, and I am accepting that you probably have built a lot more factories than I have, that you have a lot more production than I have, and that you are intending on doing a big old bust of units sometime soon. So I'm going to use this opportunity to surprise yo dumbass with some battle cruisers. There's the sensor tower complete. Beautiful sensor tower placement. A dead medevac, or excuse me, a dead Hellion lets us know that he is indeed in a heap of trouble. So we see Bbyong with a real force of death. Just explodes onto the left side and wrecks it. This is just a general late game move, was as your money gets too high, you build command centers so you can sacrifice SCVs, thereby giving you the same income from mules and a larger free supply to build an army. Just general goodness. Nothing to do with the ball that we have so aggressively and assertively been flaunting before you. We're starting to see Flash begin to abandon positions. Begin to stay held back more. Beginning to revert back to the notion of counterattacks. Trying to scout, keeping his transition hidden. The big play. And only now, I want you to look at production. I want you to look at this army. This is the moment where Flash can again seize initiative. He took his initiative to make a big transition, and that big transition to the battlecruisers is what's allowing him to do this big surge forward. Bbyong was thinking the same thing. Bbyong's like, hey, I'm doing a big surge forward. Expand, baby. Expand, baby. Just flooding those out. I mean, Bbyong's doing great, too. Want to stay focused on Flash. But in this position, I mean, Bbyong is, like, very ill-prepared. He has a unit that can shoot up. He has one, man. So if we are to be consistently intelligent, we know that, given what we've said before, we have to make sure that it maintains consistency. Now that Flash has seized some initiative back with these battle cruisers, he should probably do something really good with it, right? I mean, this very tiny little drop is an example of the benefit that we can gain. Bbyong was preparing to be a counter-attack focused player. That's great. Flash can begin to split his army up a little more freely. He has the initiative. Bbyong, look at Bbyong adding a second starport, getting Thors, getting Vikings. And wouldn't it be great for us to just get an expansion right now as well? In this time when we have this glorious initiative? Flash thinks the same thing. Flash is moving right on out. I mean, you heard me talk about the idea of building a command center on the low ground boldly. This is even more bold. These are supposed to be vestigial orbital commands that do nothing but act as mule bait the entire game. And Flash is like, no, man. No, I'm elevating you from out of the mailroom. You get to be a real unit. Trying to take chances to knock this down. And as we can look up here, I would say Flash has an advantage, but not a lead. He's not crushing. He's not en route to an easy, clean victory, because Flash has taken opportunities, but he has not really forced anything to occur. I think that this is a very logical follow-up from Flash. Flash moved out with the battlecruisers and saw a full army from Bbyong go into ultimate retreat. Got the hell out of there really fast. So if I'm Flash, I'm thinking, okay, cool, I'll take that opportunity to take another base. And then, because we're late game, I'm going to just sacrifice the initiative. I don't care about it anymore. I want to defend, defend, defend until I can get a clean, pure, ultimate force. So this is the final sacrifice of momentum that we're going to see Flash make this game, the final sacrifice of initiative. He's almost forced this response out of Bbyong. Again, in terms of the unit lost, it's very similar. In terms of the supplies and the resources, it's very similar. But this response from Bbyong was somewhat forced, because Bbyong was caught with his pants down against this battlecruiser mix. Flash got to choose the battlecruiser mix, and Bbyong, being a guy that had been going for this heavy factory break, is forced to go for Thor, forced to go for Viking, and probably forced even to get some mines up. So this, coming up, is the final culmination. Most games do not have this much back and forth of the ball. And if you're looking for simpler games, don't worry, we're going to be doing 2 in this daily. But very often what builds up is a final fight where one of the players has gotten to choose to be there and the other player has been kind of forced to be there. And those can go either way, but obviously if you chose to be there, you should have an advantage if your planning is correct. In this case, Flash chose to go battlecruiser. He's got the Ravens, he's got the Vikings, he's got tanks. Bbyong doesn't really want to have a lot of Widow Mines, and this many Vikings and this many Thors. But, as we will soon see, this is just a very nice fight. Point defense drones go down. Widow Mines are pretty sexy, but they're not incredible. The battle on the ground is lost. Flash does something really, really bold. He just walks forward with his Ravens, trying to absorb as much fire as possible. Generally, the person who has been the better player with attacking and defending with and during, or with the initiative and without having it, will be the one who has the advantage in this fight. A lot of back and forth, not of who had the lead in the game, but of who had the initiative, of who had the ball. And this is where Flash just storms forward and just wrecks. He just sees his ultimate control for the rest of the game. Look at this. Expand, expand. Double expanding, killing off bases. He has all his factories, just rallying units up. Just bringing tons of SCVs to repair. We start to see these desperate moves forward from Bbyong as he's really low on supply, and Flash just does not let it amount to much of anything. He has 3 more battle cruisers. As you can see, I mean, one of the more beautiful Terran vs. Terran games I've seen in a while. Very suave, very smexy.
Upgrade complete. Base is under attack.
Boo doo 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 boo. Do 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 do. All right. Not much more to say. Flash just gained control and is just barreling forward. There has been no barreling forward at any point in this game, except for the very, very end. This part. Very important to note. Love it. GG. What's nice about this notion of the ball is it creates more structure for us to look at a game and to understand what's happening when. If you don't do that, then you just say, oh, Flash got his 3rd base faster and his 4th base faster, and then he just got battle cruisers, and there he did it. Oh man, I gotta get 4 bases and then get battle cruisers and then do it. I gotta do it. It's not valuable. That's not a thought. Just because a whole bunch of words fell out of your head doesn't mean a thought happened. You fictional person I'm very upset with right now. This notion of the back and forth makes it very clear that as we move forward and we have control, we have initiative, we have the ball, we can expand. And as we're setting that up, we're getting the defensive units up and then slowly sacrificing initiative. And okay, now we're on the defense. And we're doing little counterattacks. And if you're applying pressure to me, well then soon enough I'm going to have a better economy because I've had this 3rd up for a long time. And now I have more units and I push you back again. 4th base, battle cruiser, contain. And now I'm waiting. I'm still building up a lot of tanks and still building battle cruisers. And okay, you've broken through and pulled me back. But surprise, motherfucker, I've got battle cruisers. Battle cruisers push Bbyong back yet again. Flash didn't really pursue with the battle cruisers because it's not a very retreat-friendly unit. It's very slow. But the battle cruiser's still floating laterally around the map because the ball was Flash's. He had powerful air. Bbyong didn't have any anti-air. Flash used that opportunity with the ball to do something. Take the double expand and just continue to churn up his production. Got an extra starport. Kept making more battle cruisers. And this all builds up to the final fight, we're generally the person who has been better about maintaining the ball, maintaining the lead, and most importantly, making use of it. That player generally wins that fight, and that's exactly what we saw Flash do. And then he just did a face pounding all the way to the end. Where it will be, again, some mech play coming out of Flash. We're going to maintain our ball-based discussion. So much appreciation for Flash's use of the ball. Although this one's going to be a little shorter. I hope that back and forth that we saw in the first game was enough to provide a good, nice foundation for you to see these games where back and forths will be a little bit less frequent. The game will be over a little faster. In this game, it's a different opening build. We're not too concerned with opening. We're concerned with the concepts that we're seeing these players use. Flash runs into a wall because Bbyong is actually doing this sort of cutesy, fast 2-racks Reaper play. So first, Flash looks a little bit unsure of what his opponent's up to, so he just chills, man. Look at this. He didn't get the scout. He saw a Reaper, and he's like, alright, I'll just wait. He has essentially given up the ball. Yes, at the 4-minute mark, Flash has more or less abandoned any sense of controlling the map. Because he saw a Reaper, and he's a little worried about a 2-racks play. Most importantly, Flash couldn't get a scout in. He doesn't know what's going on. And this Reaper isn't going to be tremendously useful at finding out anyways, because his enemy has a Reaper. And indeed, Flash's assumption is not as significant. Flash said, I abandoned the ball. I abandoned initiative. And I will do things consistent with having abandoned the initiative, a defensive command center placement, a passive Reaper, Marines being rallied on top of the Reaper, keeping these forces together. So glorious, so fine. Flash's builds doth intertwine. Now here's something a little sexy. This is where we are starting to see how critical the blend between your understanding of whether you have initiative or not is with your build order. We're blending those two together. Right now, Flash has just more or less gotten to stay alive. But if our opponent has this many Reapers, he's got to have 2 barracks. He's probably... Oh! He's probably going for some sort of barracks-focused play. Probably. Probably. This is a pretty easy move forward. I saw that my opponent lost a bunch of stuff, so I'm moving forward with all my dudes. I have initiative. This moving down of the orbital command is often an autopilot move. Oh yeah, my orbital's done, I'm safe, expand time. But it's directly tied to the ball, to the initiative. Without the initiative, this would be an unsafe move. Yada yada yada, blurbity blurbity blue. So here's what we're going to see at a Mr. Flash that I just love. Against a player who's probably gone 2 barracks, he's probably going bio. We're not certain of that. But what we are certain of is that he's got a very late starport. He's had to delay that starport to focus on the barracksy things. And if he's focusing on doing barracksy things like Reapers, then he probably won't have a Raven or Vikings to do good work. This is Flash saying, aha, I can do a really good job taking the initiative with this. Now as an example of, again, the blend between initiative and build order, this command center this fast can be a little risky. But Flash is doing this with initiative. The fact that it's a little risky is why it's up here and not down here. If it was straight up not risky, if we had like Blue Flame and a Viking done, and a Raven done, we were immune to almost anything, that's when this would be a perfect time to go down there. If we really had a very strong initiative, a very strong hold of the ball. Right now we don't know how strong of a hold we have, we just know that we have it. Command center it is. So here's Flash chilling here. He has not tried to force anything. He has not tried to dart up here and poke and peer or anything. And we see Bbyong makes a little bit of an attempt. He gets evicted. Ha ha ha. Why did we get this? He's probably going bio, we're not certain of that, but we do know that his starport is late. His Vikings are late, in particular his Raven is late. Notice how awesome this Banshee was because there's no Raven. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And straight away, fast command center. Noticing other things going on, the building of add-ons, yeah. Flash moving up on up. The entire outcome of Flash having done all of this aggression is one very simple thing. Getting his third up a lot earlier. Boom! Now, interestingly, Flash has already begun this preparation of going into defensive mode. He's already begun this by getting the siege tanks up so early. He's getting more Vikings up. Does he actually already have a Raven? Nope, no Raven. Just friendly Banshee doing friendly Banshee things. Flash winds up in a rather unusual spot. No, that's bullshit. He winds up in not an unusual spot, but one that doesn't quite seem to fit into this notion of the ball. Here's what we would typically expect with our ball analysis. Flash has pushed Bbyong really far back and taken opportunities to deal damage, but not forced them to happen. The opportunities did pan out very well. We roasted a lot of units that moved down the ramp. We've killed a few SCVs in the main base with the Banshee. We've forced a number of scans, cutting down the muling with the Banshee. These opportunities have panned out very, very well. And now we're starting to accept a possible sacrifice of the initiative by transitioning into tanks, by having a third base we need to defend. What should happen is that if Bbyong was not hurt so bad, he should soon enough build up a force to shove us back, and we're going to have to pull all the way back and sit and defend. But that doesn't really wind up happening. And I want to emphasize to you, if you are on the withdrawal, where you are technically envisioning you abandoning initiative soon, and you should be thinking in that terms, okay, I can't really attack him now. I'm getting tanks. I need to wait till I have a lot of tanks. I'm going to be a defending player. Great, that's all I need to say. You're waiting for that time where you got to abandon, but what if it never comes? Don't force anything when you are abandoning the initiative. Do not force anything. This is so easy to look at and go, oh my god, Flash is going to try to contain. No, Flash is in defense mode. He is in defense mode. These tanks are so ready to be defenders. They're going to be moving back and forth. Scouts sort of, or Flash is sort of checking around. Look at how, it's almost unwilling Flash is to make an attack with these units. To take the ball. He's not ready for that. Look at this. He's even getting a third factory. This third factory should have a similar effect that it did in Game 1. It should allow us to eventually kick in and do a bigger attack to beat a player with 3 factories, because we have 4. But not quite right now. We don't quite have this expansion up and running. Well, we don't see a third either. Flash is kind of pulling back. He's waiting. He's not forcing an opportunity. In other words, this is the time when Bbyong should have taken the ball and done something. But he's not. Whenever that happens, that means you actually do have a significant lead. And I will give you the most fun advice in all of StarCraft 2 when your opponent is supposed to move out and do an attack that deals damage to you, that puts you under pressure, that puts you under stress. You've been preparing, you're ready to accept it, and it doesn't come. Just wait. Just wait. He's fucked, man. Just wait. What Flash is doing is going like, alright, I'll just wait till you take a third. Okay, wait, you killed it. Okay, I'm waiting. I'm gonna carefully see... Wait, you don't even have any control there. I mean, look at Flash. Moved up, scanned to prepare the attack. I mean, alright, I guess I'll wait. Other little things, Flash making sure he doesn't get counter-dropped on this side by having the setup, keeping his Banshee and Vikings back, even keeping a tank back. Flash is thinking defensively. He accidentally does the transformation service. Okay, cool, he sees it. Does he siege? No. Because siege tanks are the same speed as siege tanks. In other words, these siege tanks from Flash cannot possibly be chased down by siege tanks of Bbyong. So Flash sees it and he's like, alright, cool, there's the attack that's coming that I'm supposed to defend against. And it's not there. It's not there. Okay. Alright, we see some Hellions. Everything moves back for defense. Absolutely everything. I mean, we're in the middle. We're accepting of the idea that we might have an opportunity. We shouldn't have had the ball for a long time now. You know what? I am, as Flash, I'm just going to accept that I have the ball now. I'm going to accept that my 4 factories have been able to out-macro my enemy. I'm going to accept that. And this is where Flash says, you know what, I am going to make an attack. Why? Or excuse me, Flash says, I'm going to make an expand. Why? Because he sees an opportunity to attack. Cool! Flash waited for an opportunity. Look at that. Scan, instantly attack. Siege up, move in, force the lift. He waited and waited and waited and waited. Actually, if any of you know this reference, I'm going to be so happy. He waited and waited and waited. And when he finally pulled the trigger, it was magnificent. He just waited for the opportunity for Bbyong to be too far extended forward, and then marched right up and erased that 3rd expansion from the map. Flash doesn't wind up, I think, winning immediately. He has some annoying Hellion harass that he has to deal with. But let me just say that Flash basically just won. He waited and waited and waited. And when he finally pulled the trigger, it was magnificent. I will emphasize to you that Flash has won. Okay, cool. When we come back, we're going to take a look at yet another game from Flash. In this time, he's not going to be going for mech. He's going to be opening bio. So we'll see the idea of the ball in a slightly different context. But I hope that this game, even though it was a little simpler in terms of the number of exchanges of initiative, we see that Flash wound up in somewhat of a paradox. What do I do if I'm not supposed to have initiative, but my opponent's not taking it? You wait. You wait gloriously and decisively, and then when you see the opportunity, you squash him like a mosquito in an Ellen DeGeneres act. When I come back, we're going to look at this 3rd example of delightful patience and careful play. Stay tuned.